Welcome back to our channel. I'm Miley and bring you some hilarious and amazing things about politicians and some things we never know about political revolution. The Democratic Party has not nominated a white man for the presidency since John Kerry in 2004 and is non-white. Non-male candidates have done pretty well for themselves, maybe even outperforming their white male predecessor.
The resistance is now on offense. Democrats' takeover of the House gives President Donald Trump's opponents something they hadn't had till now: the power to force Trump to respond to them rather than being forced to respond to Trump. But it also gives Trump something he hasn't had since taking office: a political opposition with power, with leaders, with legislation he can attack. Trump has never liked negotiating the details of policy or overseeing the nuts and bolts of governance. Now he's freed with the drag of signing and defending bills crafted in House Speaker Paul Ryan's office. This is why the president, in his post-election press conference, sounded almost happy to have lost the House. Reflecting on the prospect of Democrats investigating him and him retaliating by investigating them, Trump was cheerful. "It will probably be very good for me politically," he said. "I can see it being extremely good politically. I think that I am better at the game than they are actually, but we will find out." A Democratic House permits Trump to engage in the politics of poor confrontation, which is the politics he prefers, and arguably the politics in which he thrives. During the 2016 campaign, we noted this paradox, says Ron Klain, who served as chief of staff to Vice Presidents Al Gore and Joe Biden, and was a top advisor to Hillary Clinton. If you came at Trump on the stuff where you thought he'd be most vulnerable, his shitty business practices, his use of non-American workers, he was at his best. He knows that stuff. Both Clinton and Obama lost the House in their first midterm election, with the approval rating very much like Trump's now. Both then faced a House Republican majority with no agenda other than their destruction, and both were able to pivot off that opposition to a re-election as voters grew exhausted and disillusioned with a Republican Party that seemed interested in nothing but the next campaign. Political confrontations often leave Trump polarizing but clearly in control. Policy confrontations, on the other hand, tend to leave him looking overmatched. He seems less like a tough-talking populist than an in-over-his-head plutocrat. In the final weeks before the election, the Washington Post and the New York Times ran more than 115 stories about a slow-moving caravan of Honduran asylum seekers that was more than 2,000 miles from the U.S. border. Why did the media converge on caravan coverage? Because Trump began tweeting about it in outrageous, offensive, bizarre ways. Much of the media's coverage focused on debunking or complicating Trump's narrative, but in letting that coverage reach saturation levels, the media let Trump control the narrative and push dozens of worthier stories out of the headlines. Trump doesn't want to talk about infrastructure or raising the minimum wage. He wants politics consumed by the confrontations he prefers, the ones that mobilize his supporters. He doesn't know how to govern the country, but he does know how to govern our attention. He does know how to manipulate the media. Sanders is one of the few politicians in Washington who can match Trump's talent for driving immediate attention to the topics he cares about, and he does it again and again by going big, by crafting massive proposals that may not be able to pass but can inspire. To fight and win against Trump, Democrats are going to have to force Trump to engage on the policy issues where he's weak, and that means forcing the media and the public's focus onto issues he doesn't understand and doesn't want to talk about, and being blind about which of his provocations to respond to.
And this story appears in our channel. A news focus on the little twists and turns around how Democrats could beat Trump. Subscribe and follow us along with more about Trump administration policy. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the duration of today's program. Thank you for watching.